I've seen a lot of questions on the internet and also through my searching. I didn't see a lot on the 2015 Chevy Silverado spark plug replacement. So I noticed that maybe the number 8 cylinder, which would be in the passenger side of the engine, but in the back of the engine compartment against the firewall would be your hardest one to get out. I'm going to do this today, and as I'm learning, as I'm going, I'm going to make a video to maybe help you all out. I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet where everybody's arguing between if it's 40 on the gap or 60 on the gap. Are the spark plugs already preset? Well, this is a spark plug I just pulled out of my truck, and you can see it's right at 040. And then this is one that I just bought. Like always, they never have your original equipment at the parts store, so I had to get an auto light. AC Delco is the factory equipment, as you can see here. AC Delco, it's a 12622441. And then this is an auto light, and it's a XP6043. And we're going to gap that to see if it's actually pre-gapped. Looks like it's a little high. I'll probably test one more on the truck. I'm going to say it's 40, so I'll probably bring these back to 40. They say on these weird ones that iridium spark plugs, which are what these are made out of, you're not supposed to gap them, but I'm going to take that back to 40 and make them all match, just so they're not just all different distances, even though that little difference between 040 and there is not a whole lot, but I just want them to match. Now to the second spark plug. They both mic'd out at 0.40 gap. The first two spark plugs, as you can see here, I'm using a 3-inch extension with a regular, I think it's 5/8 spark plug socket that has a little rubber washer in it. The first one and the second one both have been done in this operation of just using a 3-inch extension. I had to use a long set of needle nose pliers in order to get the third one off, coming in from the top and grabbing the metal shroud, since GM doesn't give you enough rubber to use a regular set of spark plug wire removers, and there's not enough space between the pinion arm there and where you need to grip it in order to actually get your human hand inside there to get them off. On that same third spark plug, you'll have to abandon the actual wrench by hitting the button that locks it to the extension and the socket before you get it out very far, so that you can twirl it by hand. Otherwise you're going to run out of room from the pinion arm. On the rear one, I had to resort to pliers on this time. Get around the fuel lines. I called this a pinion arm or something before. It's a pitman arm. But anyway, on this back one, you got to finagle your body in here without pinching your skin between your bone and the master cylinder there. It hurts pretty bad. Get it in from this direction, take your hand off of it and rotate it around up underneath of them like this, and then pull. And you can actually get these spark plug wires off. For some reason they're a joy to get off. And also, it's right about now that your guts start hurting because you're leaning so far into the truck, so make sure you have a big nice fluffy blanket to lean over on. I put a 12-inch extension on there, and you can see my ratchets down in there in the center there. This is actually going to work. So I tried 2 3-inch extensions with a knuckle, 1 3-inch extension with a knuckle, and all my parts and pieces that I do have, since I don't work at an auto body shop. I'm a land surveyor, just trying to change some spark plugs. That's what I have, and that's what's going to work. Through all these processes, make sure to take some kind of oil and spray it inside your spark plug wrench, because that pops off like that on the spark plug after you pull your extension out. It's a real joy to try to get that out of there. Well, there's one side down. That's the driver's side by chance, if you didn't know that. And the only thing I ran into is I needed 2 3-inch extensions, the knuckle, the 12-inch extension, a pair of pliers, and needle nose pliers somewhere that I have around here. And this side's got me pretty wore out, so I might take a break and then get back to it, but I'll probably just keep at it. Back's hurting. Using a gigantic cooler, as you can see there, to stand on, because you need a lot of operating room for your feet to try to bend, and I guess you could be somewhat of a contortionist as you're trying to do this job, so be ready for that. So now we're doing the passenger side. We're going to start in the front one and work towards the firewall. It's somewhere down in there. Something that I've learned so far as I'm trying to remove these spark plug wires with this proper tool here, is that when you're pulling on it, pull it in the direction that it's pointing, and then spin it real slowly as you're pulling, and it'll pull off a lot easier. On the first spark plug, I used 2 3-inch extensions to equal 6, and you have to reach in underneath your, I guess those are transmission reservoir lines, and go down in the bottom there, if you can even see any of that, and then torque with your left arm all the way coming back in from your coolant lines. So that's a tight one. And I didn't mention, that's all while your rib cage is about to break on the fender. Got the two 3-inch extensions on the second spark plug, and that seems to be working. The throw on the ratchet's a little short, but I'll take it. If you rest your head on your arm like this, sometimes it relieves some of the stress on your ribs as you're trying to get some of these worked out of here. It takes forever with little 1/16 inch turns. Something else to think about as I'm cranking on this is when you're pulling off those boots, never grab a spark plug wire by the actual wire. Only grab it by the boot. These have metal shrouds on them, I guess, to protect them from the heat. I've been just kind of gripping over that and also the boot in order to get them off. Seems to be working. We've got 7 done now. We're down to the 8th one, which is that one right there. That's probably the least favorite one on this vehicle, so I'm going to get into this and tell you how I'm doing it. The spark plug wire just came off with ease. The same method I've been using with the old wrench. It won't stay out of the way, but somewhere behind that manifold is the actual spark plug. As you can see, I took that spark plug boot and just jammed it between the valve cover and the firewall, or the padding that's up against it. Remember, when you're trying to put your socket on this number 8 back in here, if you lose your socket, it falls down through the engine compartment and lands on top of the splash guard underneath the truck. So it's a joy to try to get it out. That's what I'm going to do next. I recovered my socket and I just finally got it onto the spark plug. I took my goofy rubber glove off so I can actually feel what I'm doing. I'm now going to select between what extensions I have and knuckles and anything else I have in my garage here to try to get that off there. I placed a 3/8 extension on there. It looks like there's enough room to actually do the work. This is the battery ground cable coming down through there, which is kind of a pain in the butt, but we'll have to work around it. And as this coolant line here rips the hair off your arms, it makes it even more fun to do this rear spark plug. If you're not wearing a long sleeve shirt when you do this part, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here's the issue that I saw on the internet. Between the firewall padding, there's a little bit of give there. You can push on that silver stuff and it'll give. I have a 3-inch extension on there. If I had a 2 3/4, it'd be a little bit better. But I need to hit the button in order to make that ratchet go into that extension. Once I finally do figure out a way to do that and get it into place and get the spark plug broke from its seated position, I'll have to bail on that ratchet as soon as I can and undo that spark plug by hand. I couldn't actually ever get that ratchet locked in by hitting the button, so I just did it like that. It's seated well enough because spark plugs are only 1/3 of a turn after you get it seated. They're not real tight and it doesn't take a lot of foot-pounds or inch-pounds to get it loose. So I did it like that. I have it loose enough to spin by hand, so I'm just going to get it out of there without the detent ball locking it into the extension. Here's this gem. I had to take the 3-inch extension off of it because I ran out of room for the extension, so then I was turning this by hand. Number 8. So now I'm just going to do the exact reverse of what I did to get it out. Is start with this to start feeding it into place, make sure I'm not cross-threading it, move to the 3/8 extension hooked in the back of this socket in order to get a little bit further until I can get this on there so I can seat it 1/3 of a turn, and then I'll be done. I've got a 3-inch extension on there. I'm about to slide off my cooler down there. All my body weight's on my fender. I'm gonna see how much stress I can put on this little, the filler cap on that radiator fluid reservoir is really killing my chest. But I'm trying to see how much pressure I can put on that without snapping the spark plug off, because they're made out of porcelain, like a little porcelain doll. You can break its head off. I think that's enough. I felt like 1/3 of a turn. Now if I can get this monstrosity back out of here, we'll be done. 8 spark plugs. About 1 hour and 20 minutes. At least the spark plug and the socket just, or not the spark plug, the socket and the extension just fell out the bottom and not on the engine splash guard again. But that was fun. That was about an hour and 20 minutes. If you're not into breaking your guts and chest and ripping your hairs off your arm, and got all these nifty tools, especially I got Craftsman, so the ratchet part only works for about 2 uses and then it breaks, and then every time you lock it in to go righty-tighty or lefty-loosey, it snaps back out of drive and it's freewheel. So I've had to deal with that. So every time you enter with that ratchet, make sure it's already preset in the direction you're gonna go. This is somewhat of a task, but it's not too bad. The only thing that makes it bad is getting the spark plug boots off, getting into them. I mean, it's typical with the old spark plugs, but I'm just a normal human. I'm not some big mechanic. I don't have a big shop. I'm probably like everybody else that wants to halfway work on their truck and not got charged $300 to switch out spark plugs. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm not going to figure it out. I've been working on my vehicles my whole life. So if any of this helps, great. If it doesn't, sorry. Thanks for watching. It worked.